Welcome back, everyone, to the AI podcast at DigitView.
So what if an AI could really truly understand you? Not just, in a general way, but your specific rhythms, your learning style, maybe your health patterns.
Exactly, over your entire lifetime.
It sounds, I don't know, a bit like science fiction, doesn't it?
It does, a little.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating conceptual framework called important AI.
Yeah.
And this isn't just another AI buzzword. It's pitched as a system designed to be a lifelong cognitive partner.
Yeah.
Helping us navigate the really complex patterns of our own lives.
That's the vision laid out in our source material. Important AI, a pattern analysis for human benefit. And it's compelling. It's about moving beyond just, say, prediction to actually making the essential patterns of your life visible, understandable, and this is key, manageable.
Okay.
So hopefully by the end of this, you'll walk away with a pretty clear picture of how this kind of advanced AI is supposed to work and maybe why it could really change how we understand ourselves.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Before we get to the grand vision, the big picture of important AI, we probably need to get a handle on the fundamentals, the mechanics.
Makes sense.
At its heart, AI isn't just, crunching numbers.
Yeah.
It's this sophisticated engine for spotting patterns, right? Turning huge amounts of complex data into something we can actually understand and use.
Precisely. And the intelligence of any AI system, well, it isn't magic.
No.
It's a direct result, a function of the data it learns from. It follows a pretty structured workflow, always starting with a really clear objective.
So you need a specific question first.
You need a precise question, like, can we spot weird cardiac patterns from this wearable data? Or maybe, can we predict which students might be falling behind?
Okay.
For important AI, the really big overarching problem is, how do we identify, model, and then manage your essential life pattern?
Right, so that clear problem definition then dictates what data you need to collect.
Exactly. And once you have that clear objective, the next really crucial step is data collection and preparation. Raw data. It's almost never ready to go straight into a model.
It's messy.
It's messy. It needs careful cleaning, normalization, transformation. This is where something called feature engineering happens.
Ah, right. Turning the raw stuff into useful signals.
Exactly. Like turning raw accelerometer data, just numbers flying off a sensor, into something meaningful like average daily steps or how long you spend in deep sleep, things the model can actually learn from.
And this brings up a really critical point that our sources hammer home. The quality of this whole pattern recognition thing is completely dependent on the input data.
Absolutely.
Which isn't just a technical footnote, is it? It feels like a huge challenge for something as personal as important AI.
It raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? An AI is only as good or maybe as fair as the data it's trained on.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Yeah. Or worse, bias in, amplified bias out. If the training data isn't collected carefully, if it reflects existing societal biases, the important AI won't just learn those patterns.
It'll make them worse.
It could, yes. It could amplify them. Imagine a health model trained mostly on one demographic group. It might just fail completely for others.
Yeah, I could see that.
Which is why really robust governance, auditing data pipelines, it's just as critical as the fancy algorithms themselves. We need to ensure it works for everyone it's supposed to help.
Okay, so assuming we navigate that minefield and get clean representative data, how does the AI actually learn? What are the different ways it processes all this information?
Well, AI models learn through a few distinct approaches or paradigms, each suited for different kinds of problems. The most common one is probably supervised learning.
Okay, supervised.
Think of it like learning with an answer key. The algorithm gets data that's already labeled with the correct output.
Like pictures labeled cat or dog.
Exactly that. Or predicting house prices, where you already know the past sale prices, that known price is the label. It works great when you have that ground truth, that known right answer.
That makes sense for clear-cut cases. But, for the messy, nuanced patterns of our individual lives, we don't always have those perfect labels, do we?
You're absolutely right. We often don't. And that's where unsupervised learning shines.
Unsupervised, okay.
Here, the algorithm gets unlabeled data, just the raw stuff. And its job is to discover hidden structures, patterns, or groupings entirely on its own.
So it's more exploratory.
Very much so. It's essential for important AI because it lets the system discover potentially novel, previously unknown patterns in your specific life data. Like, how do your different behaviors tend to cluster together naturally without anyone telling the AI beforehand what groups to look for?
Interesting. Finding things we didn't even know to ask about.
Precisely. And then there's deep learning. This is a really powerful subset, usually involving neural networks with many layers. That's the deep part.
Right, the complex stuff.
Yeah. These models are particularly good at learning really complex hierarchical patterns from huge amounts of unstructured data, think images, text, audio. And a key advantage is they can often learn the important features automatically, which can reduce some of that manual feature engineering effort we talked about.
Okay, so we've covered how AI learns, but what specific tools does it use? What kinds of questions can these models answer about our lives? Our sources lay out a kind of taxonomy, right?
Yeah, understanding these different model types really helps us appreciate how an integrated system like important AI could actually tackle the many facets of human life patterns.
So what's first?
Well, you have classification models. These basically answer what category does this belong to?
Like sorting things.
Exactly. Predicting if an email is spam or not spam, that's binary classification. Or classifying a medical image as showing condition A, B, or C, that's multi-class. They sort data into predefined buckets.
Okay, and what if we need a specific number, not just a category?
That's the job of regression models. They answer how much, or what's the value going to be?
Predicting a quantity.
Right. Predicting a continuous numerical value, like what a stock price might be tomorrow, or expected sales figures, or maybe even predicting your stress level number based on your sleep patterns.
I can definitely see the use for those. What about finding groups when we don't even know the groups beforehand, like that unsupervised idea?
That's where clustering models come in. They answer, how can this data be organized into natural groups?
Based on similarity.
Exactly. It groups data points based on how similar they are, without any predefined labels. This is perfect for important AI to discover, say, natural segments in your behavior patterns, maybe finding routines or preference clusters you weren't even consciously aware of.
That's fascinating, discovering hidden structures in my own life. Okay, what about when something just seems off, out of place?
Good question. For that, you need anomaly detection models. Their job is to answer, is this unusual?
Spotting the outliers.
Precisely. Identifying deviations from what's considered the expected pattern. And this is absolutely fundamental for important AI, especially for dynamic monitoring in areas like health or even security. Flagging things that don't fit your normal learned baseline.
That makes perfect sense for a system that's supposed to understand me specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. What about looking ahead? Predicting trends over time.
For that, we have time series models. They answer, what's likely to happen next?
Forecasting.
Exactly. They're specifically designed for data that's ordered by time. They analyze historical trends, seasonality, cycles to forecast future values. Think sales forecasting, predicting climate conditions, or maybe even forecasting your energy levels throughout the week based on past patterns.
Okay, wow. So those are the building blocks, the tools for identifying all these patterns. But for important AI to really be this lifelong partner, it can't just analyze old data, right?
Yeah.
It has to keep learning, adapt, maybe even correct itself, like we do.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating here is the move towards what are called online systems, systems that learn continuously from a stream of new data rather than just being trained once and then becoming static.
So they stay up to date.
Yes, and they can incorporate self-correction mechanisms. Now, this isn't conscious like us realizing we made a mistake. It's algorithmic.
Okay.
An AI system can essentially rectify its own errors through feedback loops. It compares its predictions to the actual outcomes and adjusts its internal workings, its parameters, to minimize that error over time.
That's a really powerful capability, adapting on the fly, without needing constant human reprogramming.
It is. And perhaps the most powerful paradigm for this kind of real-time adaptation is reinforcement learning, or RL.
RL, okay, I've heard of that. How does it work?
So, unlike supervised learning with its labels, RL involves an agent, the AI, that learns by doing. It performs actions within an environment, say, your life context, and it tries to figure out which actions lead to maximizing some cumulative reward.
So it's kind of like a sophisticated trial and error, learning from consequences.
That's a great analogy, exactly. It's similar to how a child, or even an animal, learns to achieve goals. Actions that lead to positive outcomes or rewards get reinforced, making the agent more likely to take them again. RL really excels in complex, dynamic situations where the optimal strategy isn't obvious and you need to optimize for long-term goals.
So how would that apply to important AI?
Imagine an AI tutor built with RL. It wouldn't just present lessons passively. It would actively choose the next exercise or explanation, observe how you perform, get feedback maybe from your answers, maybe even your engagement level, and then adapt its next move to maximize your learning progress, which is the reward signal.
Wow, that's incredibly dynamic and personalized.
Yeah.
I imagine there must be challenges with RL. It sounds computationally intensive.
Oh, yes. RL can be what's called sample inefficient, meaning it might need a lot of interactions, a lot of trial and error attempts to learn effectively, especially in complex environments. And yes, it can be very computationally expensive to train and run these models.
Okay, so these powerful adaptive models, it leads us straight to another crucial point, understanding. If an AI gives me some prediction, or maybe a health alert, something really important, I'm going to want to know why.
Absolutely.
The whole black box problem, right?
Yeah.
It's a massive concern, especially when you're talking about sensitive areas like health or finances or education.
It raises that critical question, how can we possibly trust an AI, especially one intervening in our lives so directly, if we can't understand its reasoning?
Exactly.
And that's precisely where explainable AI, or XAI, comes into the picture.
XAI.
It's a whole field dedicated to developing methods and techniques to make the decisions and predictions of AI systems understandable to us humans, answering those key questions. Why did you make this prediction? What were the main factors driving this outcome?
So it's about opening up the black box.
It is. It's really the currency of trust in AI. But for important AI, it's even more than that. It's about transforming complex, potentially scary data into something that actually empowers you with actionable insight.
That makes sense. Are there different ways XAI provides these explanations, different levels maybe?
Yes, generally we talk about two main levels. There are global explanations, which try to explain the overall behavior of the AI model. You know, what features does it generally find most important across all predictions?
Like a general overview of its logic.
Right. And then, perhaps more critically for personal use, there are local explanations. These focus on explaining one single specific prediction. Why did my health alert get triggered? What factors led to this specific learning recommendation for me? That's crucial for justifying individual decisions.
Okay, local makes sense for personal AI. What are some of the actual techniques used to get these explanations for my data?
Well, two prominent methods often mentioned are LIME and CHEP. LIME stands for Local Interpretable Model Agnostic Explanations.
Catchy name.
Yeah. It's quite intuitive. It essentially explains a single prediction by seeing how the prediction changes when you tweak the input features slightly. It highlights which parts of the input, say which words in a sentence or which pixels in an image were most important for that specific outcome.
So it points to the local drivers.
Exactly. And then there's SHAP, which stands for Shapley Additive Explanations. This is generally considered a more powerful and theoretically grounded approach based on game theory concepts.
Okay.
SAP calculates the contribution, the impact of each feature towards pushing the prediction away from some baseline value. It gives you a really clear breakdown of influence for that specific instance.
How does that look in practice? How does SAP make it clear for someone using important AI?
SAPP provides some really powerful visualizations. Imagine something like a waterfall plot that visually shows you which factors pushed a prediction higher, say increased risk, and which pushed it lower, and by how much for your specific case.
Wow, okay. That sounds incredibly valuable.
It really is. It can transform, say, a frighteningly opaque health alert, just a red flashing light, into an actionable, trusted insight that you and your doctor can actually discuss and act upon.
Yeah.
Honestly, without this layer of explainability, this XAI component, it's hard to see how the important AI framework could gain the deep, necessary human trust for the kind of lifelong adoption it envisions.
Okay, we've definitely covered the mechanics, the learning, the tools, the crucial need for explainability. Now let's try to bring it all together. What is the overarching vision for this important AI? How does it actually work as that lifelong cognitive partner you mentioned earlier?
Right. So it's crucial to understand it's not conceived as a single app or one device. It's more like an integrated architecture.
A system.
A system, yes. A lifelong cognitive partner. And its core mission, its mandate, is to make your essential life patterns, the ones that really define your health, your learning, your well-being, visible, understandable, and ultimately manageable by you.
How does it integrate everything?
It aims to do this by weaving together diverse streams of data. Maybe biosensor readings from wearables, your educational progress data, environmental factors you're exposed to, even financial records potentially, all integrated into a unified, dynamic model of your unique life.
And it uses all those different AI types we talked about.
Exactly. It synthesizes the paradigms. It might use unsupervised learning to discover your unique habits and routines, supervised learning to predict known states like health risks or learning outcomes, and maybe reinforcement learning to act as a dynamic coach, helping you manage your progress towards your goals.
So its main job isn't to tell me what to do. It's not making decisions for me.
That's a really important distinction the sources make. Its primary function is not to take over decision-making, but to empower you with a profound level of self-knowledge, translating all that complex, overwhelming data into clear, explainable insights that you can use to make better, more informed decisions for yourself.
Okay, that's crucial. And it really emphasizes this idea of my unique patterns, right? Not just comparing me to some generalized population average, because let's be honest, that average person rarely feels like me.
Precisely. And that right there is the central unifying principle of the whole framework. The individualized baseline.
The individualized baseline.
Traditional approaches, especially in health, often compare your metrics to a population average. But important AI is designed to learn the unique, often idiosyncratic patterns that constitute normal for one specific person, for you.
And this baseline isn't fixed.
No, absolutely not. It's dynamic. It's meant to constantly evolve over your lifetime, built from continuous data streams across multiple domains of your life.
Can you give some concrete examples of these individualized baselines?
Sure. Think about your biological baseline. This would be learned by analyzing time series data from, say, your smartwatch or other tensors.
Like heart rate.
Exactly. Your typical resting heart rate, your normal heart rate variability, HRV patterns, your characteristic sleep cycles, maybe even how your metabolism typically responds to certain foods or activities. An anomaly, then, isn't just being outside the population norm, it's a significant deviation from your own learned biological baseline.
Got it. What else?
Then you could have a cognitive baseline, perhaps within an educational context. The AI learns your unique learning profile, what styles work best for you, your typical pace, your areas of strength, your common misconceptions.
Okay.
And maybe a behavioral baseline using data from, say, your smartphone sensors or digital interactions. It learns your typical daily routines, your normal level of social engagement, your usual activity patterns.
So putting it all together, what does this mean practically? If the system detects something, the intervention isn't generic advice. It's targeted because it knows my normal.
That's the core idea.
Yes, it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So if my important AI learns I always hit the snooze button exactly 7 times, it wouldn't judge me necessarily, but maybe it understands that's my baseline and could suggest a personalized wake-up strategy that actually works for me based on that pattern.
That's exactly the kind of thinking. That principle of the individualized baseline, learned and adapted over time, is the common thread. It connects all the potential applications and really makes important AI feel like a coherent, potentially powerful new paradigm for, well, hyper-personalized human augmentation.
Okay, let's make this even more tangible. How does this individualized baseline, combined with that explainable AI we discussed, translate into real-world benefits? Where could we actually see this making a difference in different parts of our lives?
Right. The framework suggests transformative benefits across many domains. Let's take personalized education.
Get it.
Here, the key patterns are things like your learning style, how quickly you grasp concepts, where your knowledge gaps are, common misconceptions you might have, even your engagement levels.
And how does AI help?
AI-powered adaptive learning systems can build a dynamic model of your current state of knowledge and adjust the learning path, the difficulty, the content in real time. We've seen early examples. Companies like Newton reported significant test score improvements years ago, and newer things like Conmigo, the AI tutor using advanced language models, hint at this potential.
And what would the XAI, the explanation, look like in that context, making it clear why it's suggesting something?
Imagine an AI tutor interface popping up and saying something like, okay, I'm recommending we review solving for variables next. My SHAP analysis, referencing that technique we mentioned, shows that while you've totally mastered addition, correctly isolating variables was the main factor pulling down your score on that last quiz.
Wow, that's direct, specific, and actionable. Okay, what about dynamic health monitoring? That seems like a huge area.
Huge. Here, the essential patterns are biological. Cardiac rhythms from ECG or PPG sensors, your sleep stages, activity levels, maybe even glucose levels.
Some wearables.
Mostly from wearables, yes. The mechanism here is often that unsupervised anomaly detection we talked about. The AI establishes your personalized physiological baseline over time.
My normal.
Your normal. And then its job is to flag significant deviations from that baseline. For instance, detecting subtle early signs of heart arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation, maybe from wearable ECG data, long before symptoms become obvious. Some studies have actually shown that using these patient-specific baselines can significantly improve the accuracy of anomaly detection compared to population norms.
That sounds like truly preventative, personalized medicine.
Yeah.
And the XAI for a health alert. How would that work?
Well, instead of just a generic alert, it might provide context, something like, potential cardiovascular anomaly detected around 3:15 a.m. last night. Explainability analysis indicates that this was triggered by a 20% decrease in your typical overnight heart rate variability combined with an unusual spike in resting heart rate during what's normally your deep sleep phase. This represents a significant deviation from your established 6-month nocturnal baseline.
Okay, so it's not just something's wrong. It's here's what looks different from your usual pattern and why it triggered the flag. That builds trust.
Exactly. It helps you and your doctor understand the why, not just the what.
Okay, moving beyond the purely physical, what about human behavior and nature? That sounds broad.
It is broad. This could involve patterns derived from things like your daily routines, how often you interact socially, maybe inferred from communication logs or calendar data, even the sentiment expressed in your digital communications.
How is that tracked?
Techniques like human activity recognition, HAR, using smartphone sensors knowing if you're walking, sitting, running. Also, self-supervised learning could be used on unlabeled behavioral data to find patterns. And natural language processing, NLP, for analyzing sentiment in text.
What are the applications here?
There's research into predicting mental health states by analyzing subtle patterns in things like typing speed, voice tone, social media usage, or even EEG data if available. Another big area is smart home monitoring for elderly care, detecting deviations from established daily routines that might indicate a problem.
So even our digital trail and daily movements can paint a picture, reveal important patterns about our well-being.
Potentially, yes. And an XAI component here might look like a mental wellness app providing feedback like, we've noticed your self-reported stress levels tend to increase following days where your active time detected by your phone decreases by more than 40% and your screen time after 10 p.m. increases by 25%. These factors strongly correlate with predicting your stress patterns.
Fascinating. Does this personalized pattern analysis also scale up to macro-scale patterns like economics, politics, or the environment?
The principles can be applied, though the personalization aspect shifts to specific entities or systems. For economics, AI uses time series analysis, deep learning, maybe NLP on financial news, to forecast market trends or economic indicators.
Algorithmic trading, that sort of thing.
Exactly. For politics, NLP is huge, analyzing speeches, debates, social media for shifts in sentiment, policy focus, or public opinion. For the environment, AI processes vast amounts of satellite imagery or sensor data for climate modeling, tracking deforestation, or predicting the spread of invasive species.
So if I were using a tool based on this for, say, economic insights, how would XAI help there?
An economic advisor's dashboard, powered by such AI, might show our models forecast a 7% decline in regional consumer spending next quarter. But then the XAI adds, the SHAP analysis reviews this forecast is primarily driven by a sharp increase in negative sentiment detected in online discussions regarding food and energy prices, combined with a recent uptick in local jobless claims.
So there's the why behind the forecast, not just the number. More context for decision-making.
Yes, please.
Okay, one last domain, and it feels incredibly fundamental. The biological blueprint in genomics and personalized medicine.
Yes, this is about decoding the patterns encoded right in our DNA and related biological molecules. Things like genetic variations, SNPs, gene expression levels, how proteins fold into complex 3D structures.
How does AI handle that level of complexity?
Deep learning has been revolutionary here. Specialized architectures like convolutional neural networks, CNNs, are great for finding patterns in DNA sequences. Recurrent neural networks, RNNs, can model sequential data like genomes, and breakthroughs like DeepMind's AlphaFold use deep learning to predict protein structures with incredible accuracy.
Which is huge for drug discovery, right?
Absolutely. And in practice, we see this in areas like precision oncology, where AI systems analyze a patient's tumor mutations to recommend targeted therapies most likely to work for that specific cancer profile.
And the XAI for something as complex as genomics.
It's crucial for bridging the gap between the complex data and clinical action. A geneticist's report, augmented by AI, might say something like, this individual has a high polygenic risk score for coronary artery disease. Then the XAI explains. SAP analysis attributes approximately 45% of this calculated risk to genetic variants known to be involved in cholesterol metabolism pathways, and another 30% to variants influencing blood pressure regulation. This suggests a multifaceted prevention strategy focusing on both lipid management and blood pressure control would be most beneficial for this specific patient.
Wow. It breaks down the complex risk into actionable biological components.
Exactly, making the genetic complexity relevant to personalized care.
Okay, this really does sound like a fundamental shift. Not just a new app, but a new way of interacting with technology and maybe understanding ourselves. How might important AI, if it develops along these lines, actually reshape our daily lives, our work, maybe even society?
Well, the sources suggest this represents more than just a technological upgrade. It's potentially a co-evolutionary process between humans and AI. It could form the basis for a whole new generation of symbiotic technologies.
Symbiotic. How so?
Imagine personal pattern dashboards, a single interface driven by explainable AI that shows you the interplay between different areas of your life. Maybe it highlights. Notice how your reported stress levels, correlated with lower HRV, tend to spike when your savings account balance drops below a certain threshold, and this often precedes nights with less deep sleep.
Whoa. Connecting dots I wouldn't even think to connect myself. Revealing those hidden dynamics.
Exactly. Or think about hyper-personalized assistants. Not just today's voice assistants, but true, lifelong AI companions that develop a deep, nuanced understanding of your patterns, your goals, your preferences. They could offer proactive support for managing chronic illness, long-term career planning, or curating genuinely personalized educational paths throughout your life.
And maybe even physical interactions.
Potentially, yes. Intelligent robots that can operate safely and seamlessly alongside us in our homes or workplaces because they can learn and predict your specific movement patterns, your routines, your intentions, making interactions much smoother and safer.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But it always leads to the jobs question. So, is AI just taking jobs, or is it creating new ones here at this human-machine interface?
The perspective in the source material is definitely the latter. It emphasizes that human judgment, empathy, creativity, ethical reasoning, these remain primary. AI is seen as augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them wholesale.
So what kind of new roles emerge?
Well, we're already seeing prompt engineers, people who specialize in crafting the optimal inputs to get the best results from AI. But beyond that, think about AI ethics specialists and auditors, crucial roles ensuring responsible development, auditing for bias, setting up governance frameworks.
Okay, makes sense.
Or personalized life path curators. Imagine professionals who work with individuals and their important AI data, helping them interpret their complex life patterns and make informed, long-term decisions about health, career, learning.
Like a coach, but supercharged with data.
Kind of, yes. And human-machine teaming managers, figuring out how to best integrate human skills and AI capabilities in workplaces. And of course, AI literacy trainers, teaching everyone how to use, interpret, and critically evaluate these powerful new tools.
Okay, here's the big one. With tools this powerful, capable of understanding and potentially influencing our deepest patterns, the ethical questions are huge. How do we ensure this power is used wisely? What about governance?
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head. This is perhaps the most critical aspect.
Yeah.
The ethical frameworks, the governance structures, they must be developed right alongside the technology. They can't be an afterthought.
So where do we look for guidance?
We can draw on existing robust frameworks like the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of AI, which lays out some core values and principles that are highly relevant here.
What kind of principles are we talking about, especially for something as intensely personal as important AI?
Well, first and foremost, the right to privacy and data protection. Given the intimate nature of the data involved, the absolute highest standards are required. User control, data ownership, transparency about usage, these are paramount.
Absolutely. What else?
Responsibility and accountability. If the AI provides flawed advice or analysis that leads to harm, who is responsible? There need to be clear lines of accountability.
Critical.
Then, transparency and explainability. As we've stressed all along, XAI isn't a nice-to-have. It's a fundamental requirement for trust and safety. Users need to understand why the AI is suggesting what it is.
Non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Also, human oversight and determination. Critically important. There must always be a human in the loop for significant decisions. The AI should augment human judgment, never entirely supplant it, especially in high-stakes situations.
Keeping humans in charge.
Yes. And finally, fairness and non-discrimination. This requires constant vigilance and rigorous auditing to prevent algorithms from inheriting and amplifying societal biases, particularly in sensitive areas like hiring, loan applications, or healthcare access. We need to ensure these systems serve everyone justly.
Wow. What an incredible deep dive this has been. Important AI.
Yeah.
It really isn't just about data crunching and algorithms, is it?
Yeah.
It's painting a picture of a future where technology might actually partner with us in this fundamental human quest for self-knowledge, for well-being, for flourishing. We've looked at its potential predictive power, its ability to adapt and learn continuously and critically, that clarifying lens of explainable AI that could turn confusing alerts into trusted, actionable insights.
And it's clear, I think, that the path forward, if we choose to go down it, demands a profound commitment. Commitment to human-centric design, to building those robust ethical guardrails we just discussed, and always, always preserving human autonomy and dignity. It's really about finding the right way to combine AI's immense pattern recognition capabilities with our uniquely human wisdom, values, and judgment, empowering us, not controlling us.
So for you, our listener, wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway? What should you be thinking about?
Well, maybe here's a provocative thought to leave you with. Imagine, just for a moment, if an important AI system could genuinely, continuously learn and clearly explain your unique, individualized baseline across your health, your learning patterns, your behavior, your moods. If you had that level of profound, data-driven self-knowledge readily available and understandable, how might that change your daily decisions? How might it shift your long-term goals? And ultimately, how might it alter your very understanding of what it means to be truly well-informed about yourself? What new possibilities might that deep self-awareness open up in your life?
Thank you for joining us for this broadcast.
Searching for answers to unanswered questions. Thanks for stopping by.
This is DigitView.